There is power in personal stories. It connects us, it empowers us, and it holds us accountable. It creates understanding and expands our perspective. This is Big in the Community with Jonathan James at the Kalamazoo Promise, a podcast aimed to highlight local leaders, collaborators, and innovators in the greater Kalamazoo community. In this episode, I sit down with Dr. Washington, president of Kalamazoo Valley Community College. We discuss student success, community partnerships, and creating equitable pathways to opportunity. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Big in the Community. I'm going to start us off with a quote. Live so that when other people think of integrity, enthusiasm, commitment, and caring, they think of you. And I really like that quote because you can put whatever adjectives you want in there. You could put humility, honesty, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. But on today's episode, we have an amazing guest with us, Dr. Washington from Kalamazoo Valley Community College. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that we get the chance to talk. I've seen you in the community. I've seen you get awards in the community. You're kind of a big deal here in Kalamazoo. Could you begin by sharing a bit about your personal journey and what led you into the world of education and leadership?
Well, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and I attended Ohio Wesleyan University for undergrad. And I'm a first-generation college student, and neither one of my parents had a college degree, and both had graduated from high school. But I remember my mother even commenting at one point, the generation before her, she celebrated one of her great aunts who graduated just from high school. And that was a big deal in our family at that time. So here I am. I had the experience that my parents made sure that I had the opportunity to pursue a higher education degree. And over time, I completed a master's degree in education, and I also completed an educational leadership degree and a PhD from University of Nebraska, Lincoln. And all along the way, I would say I've had mentors and colleagues who inspired me to serve, to lead, and to help others achieve their dreams. And it wasn't always people who had degrees that were influencing my life. It was people who live right in my own neighborhood, and then people I met along the way of my journey. When I began my presidency here at Kalamazoo Valley 7 years ago, I was struck by kind of the commitment of our faculty and our staff, and the rich potential of our students, with the great resource of Kalamazoo Valley Community College being right here. The collaboration, the opportunities that it provides for different types of students who come from various backgrounds is what really struck me. One of the things that I really appreciate about my journey is kind of I've lived in different places. I've lived for a while. I taught first grade in Minnesota, and I lived in Battle Creek for a little while, and worked at Kellogg Community College. And so I have some colleagues there. I lived out in Pennsylvania at Harrisburg Area Community College, where I was the CEO of a campus. And that was a real interesting place for me to be on the East Coast, and to have, but live in a small town, Lancaster, and had this intersection of the Amish community and what was, a kind of suburban area, but had the influence of Philadelphia, which was just less than an hour from Lancaster, and then kind of that fast pace, but culture and arts, diversity existed in that community with that kind of clashing of different cultures coming together. and living in West Virginia as well. I was at New River Community and Technical College as the president, and living in the belly of the state. For a lot of the energy needs of our country, early on, that's where we were getting some of that energy, that energy needs. And so here you have salt of the earth people who were working. And so I've had those influences over my life that have really helped shape my educational journey, and also work on behalf of the underserved.
That's awesome. It sounds like you had a very diverse career. Random question. For when you decided to get your doctorate, what was there like a turning point, or did you always know that's what you wanted to do?
I would say probably from high school. I participated in a program at Ohio Wesleyan University, which was called the Upward Bound Program. It's a pre-college program for high school students. It's a trio program. And having had the folks who helped influence my life, not only participating in that program, but even in the summers I worked in the program as a tutor counselor, and ultimately I was helping plan programming for young folks. Seeing all the other adults around me at the time, many of them had a PhD or they were pursuing other higher education, either degrees or certificate, or still learning. So I knew at that point in high school, it was like, I'm going to get my PhD. I wanted to work towards that because of what other folks had that influence on me.
Okay. I'm thinking about it.
Yes.
I'm thinking about continue, because I just finished up my master's. I'm thinking about, like, I've run into random people, and it's people, people who have it, people who don't have it. They're like, well, why not? Like, if you can, why not do it?
Right.
So,
yeah, but I think it opens up other doors, not just around your kind of pursuits professionally, but a great program will help you understand kind of the whole research process. Every time you're thinking about something, you're always thinking through this lens of gathering data, analyzing that data, reviewing it, and then putting it in some format to share back with folks. And I think I was telling you earlier before I said I'm always kind of serious about things. And I think, again, it's that kind of influence that I'm looking through that type of lens all the time as
analyzing
a learner.
it.
Analyzing and trying to be a learner.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Now you talked a little bit about your first impressions when you came to Valley. Was there anything else that kind of stuck out to you about KVCC or Kalamazoo itself?
Well, one of the things I know about Kalamazoo Valley is definitely both an educational and economic driver. We're an on-ramp for higher education for students from every background. When students who are dual enrolled want to go on and start their education in high school, we get them on the ramp to say, okay, you want to do this? We can start you while you're in high school. For traditional age students who come right out of high school and you want to go with us and you say you want to, I want to be a welder. We can make that happen for you as well. There are folks who want to transfer on to other university partners of ours. That's another kind of opportunity that we provide to students. Adults who want to retool themselves, come back after sometimes having had another career in something else. We provide that opportunity as well. And we have dollars that come from the state to help with programs like that, Michigan Reconnect. So it really helps those folks who are, sometimes have said, I'm tired of doing what I'm doing right now in life, and I want to come back to school. Our partnerships with K-12 schools and universities and nonprofits and employers are central to our success. Working with business and industry to set up apprenticeship opportunities for students, internship opportunities for students. It creates sometimes these different types of pathways to know that you can get into the workforce. And we also help to meet workforce needs. The collaborative community projects that support both students and success is our regional vitality. We got to continue to work together.
That's awesome. So you talked about the collaboration, you talked about partnerships for student success and innovation. How do you define what student success is at a community college, and how has that definition kind of evolved during your time at KVCC?
Yeah, and student success is more than just earning a degree or certificate. It's around belonging. It's around persistence. It's around completion and having a path forward to a career or a transfer opportunity. It's also sometimes just completing, I showed up today. That's student success.
Yeah.
We want the long-term piece for folks to have a better life. But for some folks, it's a baby step of, I got out of bed, I either turned on my computer to do my online class work that needed to be turned in, or I got dressed, got ready, left my house, got my transportation, made it to the campus, and I showed up for class today. And I participated. For some, that's a journey that takes some time, and you do a lot of those. You get to completing the course for the semester and earning the credit. And then those credits earn up over time, and you continue to show up. You continue to register for classes. That's also student success. Learning how to deal with difficult situations. I believe that's one of the pieces that we help students as well. How do you manage through life when life is lifing? Using the resources of the college, our academic advisors, our coaches, to help you navigate through situations, interacting with other community partners that we partner with, that we put you in touch with. We want to make sure that your mental health is okay. We want to make sure you have the necessary resources to continue your work. Do you have adequate child care? All those particular items add up to what we see as student success. We've developed one of the unique initiatives, our Food Innovation Center is a sustainable program, and it expanded arts and cultural programming through our Kalamazoo Valley Museum. So we have a lot of different things that feed into what we call student success to also work with those folks that may not be in a registered class, but they just want to come to the college for lifelong learning.
That's awesome. And I like that you touched on just sometimes it's just showing up. It's like when I first started going to school, I took some time, then went back. I think as soon as I graduated high school, I registered for a class, showed up the first day, and then after that didn't show up again. And then, fast forward years, luckily Promise is around for 10 years. I could still use it. I started to get serious about it, but there was still that, I was very introverted when I was younger. I dealt with what I realized now was probably some mental health stuff, where it was hard for me to just show up. It's hard for me to get to class. I had some social anxiety, and just getting there was a hurdle itself. Right. And then, the passion and wanting to learn and all that about education that developed over time. So I like that you address student successes. It could just be making it there, then finishing, and then building up to, a certificate or a degree. We talk about partnerships, post-secondary access, collaborating with, say, the Kalamazoo Promise. How do those partnerships support scholars and improve outcomes? And then, what are some barriers that you see, say, with our scholars?
Well, we're very proud to have been a partner with Kalamazoo Promise since the very beginning. We're celebrating 20 years to support our scholars. Together, we ensure that Promise students have advising, financial aid guidance, and academic supports to succeed. And it is truly a partnership and collaboration that we have to make it happen with Kalamazoo Promise. Yet we know that Promise scholars, like many first-generation students, still face barriers, navigating college processes, balancing your family and work responsibilities, and overcoming kind of these equity gaps. Our role is to meet students where they are and provide the wraparound supports to help them stay on track. Having personally, I'm also a first-generation student. I can't say that I understand every person's kind of struggle, but I do get it regarding sometimes dealing with family and when you have some success as a student, even in high school, and recognizing that you've been given some awards, you're the top of your class, and then going home sometimes and dealing with cousins and people in your neighborhood, they don't care. And so you have to battle that in your brain regarding, oh my gosh, I'm good in this environment, but when I come back to say I've done well, maybe my parents do celebrate me, but other folks don't. That's a struggle for first-generation college students. Getting into college and then in talking with your peers that may have had different experiences than you, and you find out that, okay, my reading and writing was great in my high school, but now I'm being asked to do this research paper. I don't recall doing a research paper in high school. And so you got to seek out other services. So how do you do that where you didn't have to seek out services before to navigate through high school? You were given that help probably usually right there in the classroom by a high school teacher. So helping our students understand how that don't feel less than just because you got to seek out assistance to navigate through college. And, you know, we set up our systems in college, you know, they've been set up sometimes for years. And for instance, I would say this, you know, you got to apply to graduation. You didn't have to really apply for graduation for high school.
Right.
So that's another thing we have to teach students, that you have to keep track of how many credits you're getting, looking at the catalog or whatever kind of electronic services that are available to say, okay, I think I'm ready now. Going to see an advisor and say, okay, I think I'm ready to apply for graduation. That's a first-generation college student doesn't know. And you just have to kind of step back from that and be intentional around the work that we have to do to work with all our scholars.
It's a learning experience going to college. I remember like going to Valley, it was like smaller classroom size compared to like larger universities, and the level of support, not to say that there wasn't any at like a larger institution, but it was just different. And there was a lot more intentionality, say when I was at Valley, behind my professors, or even, you know, I was getting my master's at Calvin, and they're emailing me and said, hey, like, we noticed you didn't log in to your stuff yet, and the semester started. Oh, okay. Thank you. But that level of attention, that's one of those things, like you're saying, to support the students. They might not know, like, oh, this is starting, or I need to apply for graduation, or those different things. But I think Valley does a great job of kind of like adapting to those student needs, because those are things that you're not taught, like say K through 12, and then you get there, it's just a big, it's huge. Like nobody's checking to say like, hey, did you show up? Or did you get dressed? Did you, get in the car? Did you put gas in the car the night before? Like little stuff. Nobody's checking that.
Yeah, and I think partly we also have to, we had to refine our systems. We're ever learning around what worked for the generation before. It's not going to work for this generation. So what do we do in order to change out some of those systems? And getting a voice from students also regarding our processes is certainly important.
So talking about workforce development and that economic mobility, how is KVCC responding to the changing needs of the workforce, particularly in fields like healthcare, trades, sustainability, technology, all the different things?
Right. Well, the needs of the workforce are changing rapidly, and we are responding. We continue to expand our healthcare programs, and most recently, our nursing program received a 10-year accreditation. And so, great work on behalf of our faculty who are working to strengthen that program. Having partnerships with Bronson Healthcare, to expand our LPN program and trying to respond to. They were asking for a need. And so we went in and did those particular things, strengthening and training in our advanced manufacturing and the trades, and growing programs in technology and sustainability. Our collaborations with business and government are key. Employers really help shape our curriculum. And by that, I mean, we have working advisory boards that involve industry folks who are from our community who work in business and industry. And they're providing input to our faculty regarding what are some of the emerging trends that they're seeing in their business, what new equipment needs, what new techniques need to take place. And we're infusing those into curriculum based upon that advice from those business leaders that sit on our advisory boards. We provide internships and apprenticeships, and we invest in our students. Local and state partnerships allow us to secure resources to upgrade equipment, to expand our facilities, and to prepare students for jobs. Jobs so that they can be ready to get right on the floor and do the great work that's required for advancing our economy.
That's amazing. I know there's been a big push for what's the term? Experiential learning, where you actually do what you're learning about at the same time. So it's great to see that you have all these different ways to help with that. As far as leadership and like your reflections on it over the years, what are some lessons you've learned over the last 7 years at KVCC? And then also, how do you stay grounded and connected to the people you serve while being in a leadership position?
I would say one of the greatest lessons I've learned has been the importance of listening. Listening without judgment and just be open to listening. Listening to students, our faculty, our staff, and community partners. Leadership is about service, collaboration, and creating what I would say conditions where others can thrive. It's important for me to have relationship with people and good relationships with people. I stay grounded in spending time with students. Last night, I spent time with our Phi Theta Kappa students through our honor society, and we inducted it into the honor society. And being able to spend time with students and their families and being present on campus and engaging in community events is one of the things I thrive in. It helps me to know the pulse of our community by going to different community events. And those conversations remind me of why I do this work. I do this work for the community to impact positively what needs to be occurring so that we all can work collaboratively together to have a great society for today, but also for future generations.
That's one of those things, like, I personally, like think about career leadership, like what's the next thing, but also how is it that you stay, connected? Because like as you move up, so to speak, you're more specialized, you're more focused, and then you have less time for, say, the things that you used to do. So that was for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it is quite difficult sometimes, but I try and rearrange my schedule from time to time that I can get to other stuff than what I probably need to be focused on with different contracts or a new deal or capital campaign, raising dollars. That I had to choose my time wisely. I use my time on the weekends, go at night, get up early. So, but I balance it out. My family really helps ground me as well around, okay, this is family day.
Yeah, I have to remember that on the weekends, like, okay, put all this stuff aside. It's family time.
Right.
So as far as equity, belonging in the future, what does equity look like in practice at KVCC? And then what's your vision for the future at Valley?
I think Kalamazoo Valley, where equity means for us is ensuring that every student, regardless of their background, has access. And we support that access so they can be successful. That's what we have to do. It shows up in our recruitment efforts. It shows up in our curriculum, our community engagement, and our institutional culture. Looking ahead, I would say my vision for Kalamazoo Valley is to be a model community college, one that prepares students for upward mobility. It strengthens community partnerships and continues to embed diversity, equity, and inclusion in all that we do. Our board is committed to that work around trying to make sure that everyone has a place at the college. Here in Michigan, we've been dealing with Proposition 2 for a long time regarding how we use our resources. And so as we exercise our work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so based upon things that were put in place a long time ago here in the state of Michigan, we have to continue to do that work. We're going to be coming up on 60 years as a college.
Wow.
We've been open access. But to me, it's more than just open access. It's also around the next step is helping students and families reach that major milestone of doing better. And the college may not have control over after you get a job and what you're making on that job, but we have an influence working with our business and industry and community partners to say, we want our certificate and degree holders and people that just had experience with us, that they need to be making, more than just a livable wage. So what influence do we have on the local economy to say, let's do that? And that's in partnership. That's talking, it's sharing, it's saying, what programs do we need to be offering? Doing all those things that are necessary to have the conversation and empowering our students and our families to say, we do want better for our community.
That's it's interesting because there's all these things that come up as far as, advocacy, making a living wage, getting more than that, being able to put money away, generational wealth, all these things. And I want to say as like the post-secondary community, like we know these things amongst ourselves, but maybe like the general public who's about to go to college isn't even thinking about these things yet. And then it comes up like, oh, how much am I going to make once I get this?
Right.
You know, what is it? What is this degree going to support the lifestyle I want to live? And for me, it was kind of like, I'm learning that on the fly. You know, I was like, oh, I can do pre-med. I can do that. I think I'm smart. I think I can handle this. And then I was like, well, I have to go to med school. I have to do a residency, and this is already hard. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, okay, I really like the nonprofit field. I really enjoy this work. And then I'm like, well, is this supporting the lifestyle I want to live? And it's finding a balance of what do you want your life to look like, and how do you want to serve the community? Is that in a service kind of way? Is it a product that you deliver? What does that look like? And those are all big questions that don't necessarily, you're not really thinking about until you get to that. But looking at, say, legacy and impact, were there any mentors or community leaders that have made a lasting impact on your career? And then what do you hope that your leadership, what impact would you like that to make?
There have been so many mentors of mine throughout the years, and I've been blessed with many people who have had a positive impact. People who've modeled integrity, who've provided examples of like service and resilience. And I would say those examples continue to shape how I lead. Mm-hmm. What I want to leave is, when I get back to that piece around relationship, mm-hmm. that I want us as people to know that we have to be in relationship with one another. Mm-hmm. For the college, I would say I want to leave a lasting impression that around student success, mm-hmm. and that student success looks very differently for every single student and every single family. And it continues to be a place where every student can be successful. Mm. It's how we help students make their way through their educational journey. Mm-hmm. That's the legacy that I want to leave. And I want it to be vibrant. Mm-hmm. I want it to be better than I got. Mm-hmm. I want it to have, based upon that everyone that wants to go to Kalamazoo Valley Community College, that we can help you. Help you meet your journey.
So looking at big in the community, that phrase, mm-hmm. what does that mean to you? And if you could leave one message with today's learners, leaders, what would it be?
Well, big means bold, innovative, and grounded.
We gotta write that down.
Is using the resources of the college to not only educate, but uplift and transform lives. Mm-hmm. It's about taking risks for the sake of equity and access while remaining grounded in the mission of service. I just did a presentation with our board of trustees and shared with our faculty at the beginning of the semester and our staff around this thinking big, around what's the next part of our community college journey. Access is great. Completion is great. But now, as I shared with you earlier, it's around when students leave us, do they have what they need to be making a really good amount of money to live a good life? That's what our society is about. And you don't want people to fall into these gaps along the way that they're trying to be a better person and be a better citizen. I want to leave the message that never underestimate the power of education to change life and the lives of those around us. Education helps one generation get better than the other generation. We've got to continue to know that and push people to continue to do better. And by that, it means structured education. And that structured education may look like what you shared earlier around showing up on the job experience and having new skills taught to you through just showing up and doing something. It could be facilitated or teacher-led, faculty-led. There are all different sorts of ways of learning how it occurs, but we still can't give up on that. That's what big is.
Thank you. That's probably some of the best answers we've got. No shade to anybody else, but I was over here taking notes. Do you have any questions for us? I always try to give an opportunity for guests to, be able to ask questions too.
I'd be interested in kind of your viewpoint of what do you see as you interview, a number of folks across our community. What's a running thread of kind of what people are sharing with you?
I know when a lot of times we'll ask this like silver bullet question, like if you could change one thing about Kalamazoo, what would it be? And usually the answer that comes up is the unhoused population, to do something about that. Another thing is like collaboration. We talk about being resource rich, collaboration poor. That's come up a few times. Pride in the city. So that's a thing too. Just like Kalamazoo's continuing to grow. We've got the event center coming in. We got all these different changes, and it's becoming a bigger city, a more robust city, if you will. But just making sure the people who are here, they're part of it. That their voices are heard in the changes that are happening, and that they also benefit them. I think those are the most common things that have come up. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I would say those are spot on regarding what I hear from other community members as well.
What's some of your favorite things about Kalamazoo?
Oh, my favorite things about Kalamazoo, I would say the people.
Okay.
And I get to meet a lot of different people, and not just people in leadership. I enjoy that we live in a relatively safe place. I've lived other places. Spot on around being resource rich. And I think we can go out and find almost anything in our community. It may take some time to find a little place. I walked into a place the other day, and I was really dumbfounded. It was a place where I was looking for purchasing some cow peas. And this place had it. And I said, and some browning sauce. This place had it.
Kalamazoo is very unique, and even the different sides of town are so different. And even going to, like, I went to a business community town hall meeting, went to the one downtown. The concerns and the issues were very different from the one, like, say, at Texas Township, Texas Corners. It was downtown when there was concerns about safety or like the unhoused population or different things like that. Texas Township was just, we put up a mural. We're just trying to get some more business down here. It was there weren't as many concerns, so to speak. It was more just like, how are we doing? So going from that to downtown, to the north side, east side, south side, it's all very unique, very different, even just within our, our township or city limits. So
yeah, I think the needs are different as well, and the viewpoints are different across our county. We served countywide, and even some folks right outside of our county we serve as well. And so we have to, again, establishing relationship with one another. We got to listen to folks and hear what they're saying, and then analyze that information and saying, how do we get to meeting those needs?
It's good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate your time, taking the time to do this. I'm taking notes from the work that you're doing. I see what you're doing and appreciate all of it.
Thank you.